What's up guys, Toby here. In today's video we'll be looking at a channel called Skillcapped where we'll be looking at their AD carry guides. Then we'll be comparing the techniques that they're teaching to my own gameplay and also to a pro player. The reason why I want to add a pro player into the pool is so we can see if pro players actually use the techniques that they're teaching and also to see how much difference there is in the technique being used by the pro player and my own gameplay. So that would be kind of fun. After that, I'll give you guys my view on Skillcapped as a channel and how useful and accurate I really think the information is. Hopefully you guys will find this a fun and an exciting video. So if you guys are not familiar with Skillcapped, here's the channel where you can find guides for basically every single role and even patch updates and stuff like that. So if you want to go check them out yourself, you can do that. Looking at the most recent AD carry guide, it's called Why Your Mouse Control Sucks. So let's just jump right into this one.
There's essentially two parts to your attack animation. The first is the wind up. You never want to move during this first part of the animation or you'll cancel the auto attack. Then there's the second part of the animation that occurs after your projectile releases or you damage something in melee form. By inputting a movement command immediately after this first half of the auto attack animation, you can actually cancel the second half of the animation. This is where you essentially save time and what lets you move more between auto attacks. By being able to move more while attacking the same amount of times, you can either kite better or chase down players better, effectively increasing your damage per second.
So from what we just saw that's basic kiting. And I hope that every player that is at least like Platinum is doing this in their games because it's really simple and not that advanced. But let's take a look at my own gameplay and see if I actually do it myself. So if you look at this Ashe game right here, we are fighting the Varus, we end up killing him, and we can see that Lee Sin is actually jumping right onto me, and here you can see that I'm applying it. I even did miss an auto attack because I was going too fast. And one of the reasons to accidentally cancel an auto in a situation like this is because, as you can see in my build, I have literally no items besides a Cull and the Dawn's Blade, so it's like really hard to do the kiting this early on without accidentally cancelling an auto attack. So if we take a look at the same game mode where I actually have items, so I don't really have an excuse, you know, for saying, well, I didn't have attack speed, so it's really hard to kite. Around the 31-minute mark, a fight breaks out, and yeah, I haven't really looked at it yet, so let's just take a look at it together, and hopefully I do pass the kiting techniques here. So we are chasing down the enemies in their own jungle right now, and Lee Sin seems to be a little bit out of positioning, so I throw my arrow down. He flashes in a straight line, which is the do not if you get Ashe arrows, so nice, we get him. His Guardian Angel is down, and now the fight should begin since the enemies are coming in. And here you can already see I'm like just trying to have a certain distance from the other enemies, and I don't do the best job into the Camille, but here we actually kind of make up for it, and we are pretty much never standing still while autoing. And then right as she comes down again from her ult, you can just see how I'm permanently moving and kiting as you should be doing, and I'm actually never standing still because now I am in range and I'm far enough in range where I have some movement to do where I can like move away from her to get back to the maximum range. So if we look at the fight one more time and we pay attention to the technique that Skillcapped was teaching, then it was that you wanted to auto and then instantly move to cancel the second animation of the auto. So let's look if when I'm actually kiting the Camille, if I'm autoing her and then canceling my second auto animation by moving. Yeah, we can just try and take it like in super slow motion. So I do the first auto animation on her, which is where she jumps and I get thrown in. But then from here, I auto her and then I move straight to bot. So you can see like, and then again, I'll auto her and then instantly put a movement key in like they were instructing. So I feel like we get the kiting down here. And as you can see, I just keep autoing her. And then as soon as my auto is off or the animation is going, I instantly click somewhere else on the map to get my positioning incorrect. That's basically what kiting is. So as I said, this is like a really simple and basic thing that I think every AD carry should at least do once they're Platinum or above. So I'm not really surprised that I get this first technique down. But let's look if there's a significant difference from when I'm doing it compared to like Reckless when he's doing it. So if we look at Reckless here, he's being chased down by his team, and one thing I want you guys to pay attention to right away is just this like mouse cursor. Look how fast he's moving it compared to when I was doing it. And look here while he's kiting the Evelynn, you can see how he hit her, and then every time he hit her, he was instantly moving towards her down to the right. So he's kiting away from the other two and moving towards her to finish her off. And that's how he gets the kill there. If we look at this mid-game fight with Rekkles where the enemies are chasing his team into the jungle, you can again see like how his mouse movement is a lot more smooth than mine is actually, even though I do believe my kiting is also pretty good. But just look at his cursor here, how he like instantly hits and then moves. Like he will never have his cursor more than like half a second on a target and then hit somewhere else. You can see it on Aphelios too, like he hit and then move up and then he hits. If we compare my clip, which was in slow motion, so I tried to unslow-mo it, and then compared with Rekkles, I'm quite happy with how I'm kiting the Camille here too. So I think the first technique of kiting, I definitely passed. So let's move on to the next technique that Skill-Capped got for us.
If I click far away from my champion to the left, and then suddenly need to dodge to the right, my mouse has to move across a lot more space. This extra distance it travels takes more time, it also increases issues of inaccuracy. Compare this to if I'm clicking very close to my champion. There's less distance for my mouse to travel if I need to suddenly change directions. This allows me to react and change directions faster, while also making me more accurate. A lot of players aren't even aware of this idea. When you're moving, try to visualize a small circle around your champion, about this big. After analyzing pros, rarely do they exceed past this circle. Keep your mouse within this circle when inputting movement commands. You only move your mouse past this circle in order to input attack commands, fire skill shots, or to pan your camera.
So to sum that up, it basically means you want to click closer to your own champion because you get a faster reaction time, because as he explained in the video, you don't have to move your mouse as far. And that's something I actually already knew. I haven't checked on myself if I do this, but I assume that I do this by autopilot. So yeah, I just edited these circles in, which honestly, you guys should appreciate that. That takes so goddamn long. You know, it looks really simple on the screen. It's just a circle around my champ, but holy frick, that shit is mega hard. So yeah, I managed to do it after like an hour, but we got the circles, that's all I'm saying. I appreciate the hardcore editing here. And yeah, just try and pay attention to my cursor. It should stay within the circle. I actually haven't looked, but I mean, we can just take a look now. So if you look at the first clip, I'm playing Varus. I'm playing Vayne into Varus with Lulu, and so far it seems like my cursor is mainly staying inside the circle, which is okay. When I'm targeting the Karma, it's a little bit outside of the circle, which he also said it's okay to go outside of the circle for abilities and when you're targeting a champ. So we haven't really broken the rules. Now I'm moving and I'm mainly sitting right inside of the circle still. So I would say from this first clip we passed. So if you look at a late game scenario, then here, it's the same game. Me and Lulu kind of popped off. I'm like 7-1 now, and we're just taking the inhibitor. And here you can actually see that it's kind of similar. I'm not really moving my mouse cursor out. Even while I'm fighting here, I'm actually staying with my mouse cursor inside this little circle, and it's really just to have faster reaction time on dodging abilities and shit. So that's why you want to do it. And yeah, I don't think we really need to look at a pro player here, because I can guarantee you, without even looking, that Rekkles will also have close clicks to his circle, to his character. And you can also just check the 2 earlier clips if you don't believe me. But these circles are way too hard to edit, I'm gonna be honest. So yeah, just check the 2 earlier clips of Rekkles, where we're looking for the mouse clicks. It'll be the same shit. I'm not gonna edit that in again. That was a goddamn nightmare. So yeah. Okay, let's move on to the next technique, because I would consider this one passed as well.
Here's a different diamond player on Kog'Maw. A fight breaks out and they fall back on holding spacebar since they don't know how to pan their camera effectively with their mouse. We now can't see the enemy's health bars or how close our Riven is to engaging. We completely lack information. The fight continues while they hold spacebar. If we pause, we can barely see the enemy set above us. Meanwhile, half our screen is filled with the terrain below us, which contains no enemies or any valuable information. Freeze a little bit later, and suddenly a Pyke just pops into frame. If our camera was panned upward slightly, we could have seen him much earlier. And again, Jhin semi-disappears off frame and we can't see his health bar. So to understand what you should be doing, let's take a look at a little known pro player. You might have heard of him. His name's Faker. To start this clip, his entire camera is already panned below him. He's literally on the top of his screen, and it gives him so much more information on what's happening in front of him. As he moves forward, he nudges his camera back slightly so he can see his flank a bit better to his right. His team is winning the fight, the enemy is kiting away, so he then pans his camera with his mouse a bit more forward as he chases. Now he's being turned on. You can see he nudges his camera up a bit since he knows he's probably going to have to kite back, and so needs to see a bit more behind him. As he kites back, he continues to nudge his camera back slightly. This is allowing him to have his camera still lean a bit more to the left where the enemies are to get maximum information. Just watch how the enemy Galio starts to disappear below our camera. Faker immediately nudges the camera down to get a better view. Then, as soon as they turn the fight back onto the enemy, he starts nudging his camera in the direction he's moving, always keeping the camera slightly ahead of his champion. This is how the best players teamfight so well. They're able to see the maximum amount of information on what the enemy team is doing by panning their camera manually the majority of the time.
So I actually do watch my own games every now and then, I would say, and I can already tell that this is actually like much harder than it looks, so I'm probably gonna be lacking in this technique. And yeah, I mean, we can just jump into a game and look, but as I said, I do watch my own games, and this is kind of something I see myself doing. Like I would play with just locked camera or something. Like I wouldn't play with locked cam, but I would just hold spacebar. But yeah, I mean, let's just jump into a fight and see how we do. So if you look at this fight right here, we are currently just camping in a bush. And Tahm Kench comes around the corner, so we do kill him. And I think one thing, if you just pause, it's pretty important to like just notice that I know where most of the enemies are. We know Zed is top side, and then we know the other three should be around mid side because we just saw them, right? So I feel like here already you can just like the top side. I think it's a bit unnecessary to have this much room for a Zed flank. Because we're like 5 people stacked, so I think it's better to just instantly view over to the other side. And then if we continue the clip, you can see how I'm not really moving my cam, and then yeah, Nidalee kind of, as the guy mentions, like pops into frame and then they got out. So I think I kind of have it good there, but then I move it back onto myself, which I actually think is a mistake, and then we focus on Blitz. And yeah, I still think I have a little too much room behind me most of the time, so it's kind of the same at the end when we're like focusing Blitz. I don't think I need this much space behind me because we know that Zed were top side, so I would rather like have room to just kind of scout out his top side if he comes with a flank or something. And if we're a little bit lazy and look at the fight that Rekkles was doing here, I think his camera panning is a little bit better than mine for sure. He also has a few moments where you could argue that he moved it a little bit slow, like here. I think he's running a little bit where he probably should have moved it earlier, so I guess he can even optimize his own gameplay here. But otherwise I think in the fight he has it pretty clean. He has his focus on Karma, so he has like a little extra room, if you pause again here, so you can see like how he has extra room for the Karma, and that's because, you know, in case she flashes or something, it would be really awkward if she flashes out of the frame. So I think it's fine for him to have you know, this right side empty, where in case Karma flashes out and stuff, so he kind of has her focus on him or her, and then as soon as she kills, he kind of nudges it over to the fight, and he kills the Aphelios too. So yeah, I think overall his camera panning is much better than mine, but he could also done that little extra improvement if you really want to be like nitpicky about this. And therefore I would actually consider my camera panning technique as failed. So I actually only passed the 2 out of 3, which is, I think, okay. But yeah, let me know in the comments how many you guys passed. But now let's get into the discussion of how valuable I actually think just channels in general, like Skill-Capped or even Pro Guides, are when it comes to like improving at League of Legends. And my personal opinion is, I think they're all right. Like, I don't think they're like, if you ask a lot of high elo players, like really high elo, they'll say they're terrible. And I definitely see their points because I talked to them about it. And most of the time they're just saying like, well, I can spend my time much better if I watch my own game, which is usually true. Watching your own game will usually benefit you more if you know how to do it correct. So that's definitely something I would suggest you do. But just in general, like these kind of videos, I think if you do like watch them and try and learn from them, it's really important that you're like being critical of everything they say and not everything that they say is correct. And that's the same with my own videos. I sometimes say things that might not be correct, so I also hope you're critical of my videos. This goes all around. But it's like, how I used it myself was that I would watch the videos when I, especially like this is like way back in time when I was really hard trying to climb and I was really like confused about how I even get out of diamond or how I get to diamonds. I would watch a lot of these videos and it wouldn't really do anything for me because like binge watching these kind of videos won't do anything. You kind of have to watch one video, take some notes from that video and try and apply it in your game and try and build the habit before you move on to the next one. That's at least how you take something and build it into your game. So watching 10 in a row will really not do anything, but it might feel like you're improving because your knowledge might be improving slightly, but it's also about being able to apply it in game. So that's something I find really important. Another thing is that just in general, when I was watching the videos, I would watch like a 10-15 minute video that they do, right? and then I would probably just take one thing from that video and then apply that in my game, because I don't know, I just always like had like, I like to be just watching any guides. This is not even just Skill-Capped, like any guides, I like to be super critical of what they say and think of any other alternative that might be better or just another alternative. So sometimes they'll say like you should push bot lane, but I'm like, why would you push bot? You can just recall and it's still freeze. It's like a frozen wave and it'll be good when you come back, right? So that's like just like an example. So I always try and think of other ideas that they give me, and then sometimes like I'll write stuff down. So like one of the things that I talked about a lot, which is like the 3-minute rule, I got from one of these channels, where it's like, I really never thought about jungle pathing as much before I started watching these channels. I kind of realized how important it is, and that's, yeah, I guess that sounds a bit delusional that you don't think about jungle pathing as a laner, but I really didn't before I was like starting to watch these guys. And then I was like, they were, you know, they were like talking about timers and stuff, and they were like, well, junglers, you should usually ward here around this time, because often this is the time that most ganks get done according to like stats and stuff that they had in game. So I was like, okay. So in my notes I'm like, ward Tribush at 3:15 because often the jungle will gank there, right? And then that is something that you can kind of like try and implement in every game. So every time I saw the enemy jungler start topside, I'll be like, okay, the timer is now around 3 minutes. So that means I probably should be ganked soon if he started topside, right? And sometimes that would actually be really accurate and I would live because of this. So that's like one thing where like, you know, it was like a whole video, so there was a lot more in the video, but I just took that one thing and tried to put it in my game, and then eventually I got it down. So that's something I would suggest you guys do. Like, and yeah, as some of the like higher elo players would say, like just watch your own games, because it's actually really, really important. You can't just watch guides and stuff and try to get better. It's the same with my videos. You can't just watch my videos if you don't watch your own game, because it's like you're not really gonna see mistakes before you see them. Wow, that was quote of the year. You won't see mistakes before you see them. Okay. Okay, what I mean is you won't realize that you're doing a mistake before you watch yourself do the mistake, right? Because sometimes you might be doing a really fucking obvious mistake, but you're just not paying attention in the game and you're doing it over and over and over. But then if you watch the VOD, you will actually realize, oh shit, I'm doing this mistake. How am I this bad? And then you won't do the mistake, right? Or you'll catch yourself doing the mistake next time. That's kind of my point. So yeah, I hope that kind of gave you guys my view of these channels. I think they can be good. Just don't binge watch them. Watch like one video, try and write some notes. If you have a second monitor, you can even put those notes on the second screen while you're in game, so you stay focused with these notes. Don't watch like YouTube and Twitch while you're playing the game. I see a lot of people do that. I have even done that myself. That's just a distraction. If you're really trying to get better, don't do that. Okay, that was a long 5-minute speech. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope it was a fun idea. I haven't really seen anyone do this video before, so yeah. And shout out to Skill-Capped. You can check them out. I'll do a link to the video that we watched in this video if you want the whole video, since we only did like probably 2 minutes of a 10-minute video. So if you want to watch the whole thing, I think it's pretty decent and I think you can learn some things. But as I said, be critical and just be smart about it. Otherwise, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and I hope I'll see you in the next one. Make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed. Bye!